Welcome, everyone, to this session about project-based learning. With us is Sunday Ochuko. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, Sunday. So welcome to the session. Welcome to the Tech Mind series.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good. So, Sunday, would you like to start with a bit of an introduction about yourself, please?
Yeah. Okay. My name is Sunday Ochuko. I'm a software developer or engineer. So I've been coding for over 5 years plus now. And when I first started, or when I got into programming at first, I did mobile app development. I was interested in mobile app development, creating games and other mobile applications. So I did that for about a year. And back at the time, there was not enough materials for me to like be able to get deeply into it. So I ended up transitioning into web development because it was at the time it was like in high demand and there were a lot of resources around web development. So I transitioned into web development and I started learning front end and back end and all of that to become a full stack web developer.
Great. And where are you based from right now?
Uh, I'm currently in Nigeria. I was previously in Cyprus. I was schooling for a bit, and then I got back to Nigeria, I think a few months back. So I'm currently in Nigeria, and I am in Nigeria.
Good. Great. Yeah, that's the beauty of remote working, right? I'm based out of Portugal, so
Oh,
it's quite nice to live in a different country and also travel the world for work related things. Good. I created a couple of questions together with the Amsterdam Tech team. The first
okay.
question we would like to ask you is, what are some practical ways for students to stay organized and manage their time effectively when working on coding projects?
Okay. So one of the most important thing you need to do when working on a project, in order for you to be able to um, keep up with a certain time frame, is write down the list of features that project needs to have, right? And once you've done that, you also want to write or break down each feature into tiny tasks. Now you can write down those tasks on a sticky note, like I have here, something like this, right? You can write that down on this sticky note, and whenever you're done with each task, you can just easily check them off the list. And when you are done with all the tasks under one particular feature, you can also go ahead and check that off the list as well. So this is one of the major ways you can keep track of the features or the tasks you are working on when it comes to working and organizing how you manage time and effectively on working when working on a coding project.
Great. Yeah, that's a very practical way. So you must have a wall full of these sticky notes, I guess, behind you.
Yeah, actually, I do. I like sticking this around so to just to remind myself.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sunday. The second question that we drafted is, how can students overcome challenges like debugging and problem solving when they get stuck in a project?
Yeah. So one very important factor, I think, when you are learning programming or when you are learning coding, there are a couple of things you can do. Particularly, you can read documentations. You have to get used to reading documentations because it is going to help you quite a lot. And also, you have to learn debugging. Like that is like a skill by itself. Being able to debug and source out where the problem is coming from. But most importantly, I always advise my students, because I have a couple of people I'm currently mentoring. I always advise them to like go out there and get themselves a mentor. It is one of the most important thing, because there are certain things you can learn by yourself, but also there are things you can't learn by yourself that you have to actually get those knowledge from someone who has already experienced those things, or someone who has more experience in that field than you. So I always advise my students to get themselves a mentor. So when you have certain issues that is taking too long to solve, you can just reach out to them and get help very quickly. And also, when reaching out to your mentor, you want to make sure you understand the problem you're having or the bug you're having, right? So you want to save them stress and time because you're probably busy with whatever they've got going on and you are trying to get help from them. So the best thing you can do for yourself and them is to make sure you understand what the bug is, even though you can't solve this problem by yourself. Make sure you understand what it is so you can easily explain to them and they can help you as without spending too much of their time.
Great. So it's really about the definition of the bug and finding the right experienced person, a mentor who has probably gone through a similar challenge before.
Exactly.
Good. Thank you. That brings us already to the third question. How can students showcase their project-based learning experience or learning experiences in plural to potential employers, or maybe in their portfolios?
Right. So one, okay, two is you can showcase your project-based learning or experiences. So one being social media. You can leverage um, the social media to show or showcase your project-based learning or the experiences you've had as a programmer or a software engineer. So you could, for every project you work on, you could post on any of your social platform, either Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn. I find LinkedIn another very professional platform you can post work related stuff on. So you can post about any project you are working on, you are currently working on, or any issues you are having, and talk about how you solve the issues and stuff like that on those platforms. So over time, this is going to serve as a public portfolio, whereby if or before an employer reaches out to you, they must have seen your social presence, right? So they can now go through and see how long you have been doing this thing for and how long you have been consistent in that field, right? And also they can see some of your work to know or to get an insight of how you work and the experiences you've had. But most importantly is having a personal portfolio, which is kind of difficult for us software engineers, because I have a lot of friends, they find it very difficult to like work on their personal portfolio, but it is much more needed. Myself, I have a personal portfolio, so it is very much needed. So when you have a portfolio, the major section on your portfolio should be your work experience and all the projects you have worked on. So for each project, you want to add these informations about each project to give your employer an insight of what you have done with the project, the purpose of the project, and the tools and technologies you have used of this project. So first of all, the project title and description. So you want to explain the purpose of the project, right? It is very important. Make it clear, just state it. It is very important. Secondly, you want to have a live demo and a GitHub link to that project. So as opposed to your clients being able to, sorry, your employer rather, as opposed to your employer being able to see that particular project live and check it out, it is still a good idea for them to be able to access that project source code, so they can go on GitHub and view the code for that project. So by this now, by them viewing this, they can see how you structure your files. They can see the naming conventions you used, and they can see the tools and technology you have used on that project and how good you are with those technologies. So that is one. That is the second. Also, you have to, yes, mentioning the technologies you have used on the project. So you need to mention the programming languages, the frameworks, and any other tools you have used on that project. The last one would be challenges and solutions. So, like I said earlier on, when posting on social platform, this is the same thing. So, I believe for each project, there there is always one issues or one problem or the other that you must have faced when working on different projects. So it is a good idea to state those problems you faced while working on those projects and how you solve those problems. So with this now, the client, the employer rather, I don't know why I keep saying clients, the employer would be able to get an insight of your experience, your overall experience, and how good you are with problem solving, and potentially what's it called, and potentially the experience, how good you are with those frameworks and technologies you've used on each project.
Great. Thank you, Sunday. Yeah, and clients is also good, right? If you have freelance software engineers or people who are,
Yes,
that it applies to clients and employers alike, I think. And what I really like about your extensive answer is that it's really about the how. You need to show how you have done certain things, and also be very transparent about it, so that you need to point to a
exactly.
GitHub repo and they can actually see what you've done. You need maybe even dive into the code and see how you came to a particular conclusion or result.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, this way, if a client is reaching out to you, they are most certain that okay, yes, we actually want to employ this person or we want to work with this person, because they have actually seen for themselves what you are capable of doing. So
Great.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Fake it till you make it is a bad thing. But definitely in software engineering, you don't get away with that, right?
You don't. It doesn't end well always.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. Then the next question that we thought about is about AI. So how does AI impact the work you do, and what recommendations would you give to future software engineers?
So for AI, myself, um on the I'm still in the process of implementing or integrating AI into my workflow, you know. So I would actually advise new what's it called? I would actually advise new students or people who are learning programming or coding at this point to actually learn AI, because the reality is AI is not going anywhere. And at the same time, it is not going to take over our job 100%. There always has to be a human intervention when it comes to AI. You always have to check certain things out because AI is not, it has not gotten to that level, it has not gotten to that extent where it can work independently. So yes, you have to get adopt AI, make use of AI when you can, right? Utilize it to save time or to save repetitive task and things like that. You get, but also you want to be conscious when making use of AI. You definitely want to be conscious in the sense that if you leave every single task you do, you dedicate it to using AI, then in the long run you might just lose some of this skill, the debugging skill and a couple of all that. So you also have to be conscious about when you're making use of AI. So for me personally, when I use AI, I tend to use it to find out what the problem is, as opposed to telling it to write or to fix the problem. So if I'm having issues, I go, okay, what exactly is wrong with this block of code I have written? And then it's going to give me useful information. And with that, I can now go ahead and debug those the code instead of asking it to write the code for me completely. Now, this is not bad, but in the long run, like I said, it is only going to affect you because you are used to dedicating tasks to AI and all of that. It might even affect your technical skills as well, talking about writing and solving bugs and all of that. So you definitely have to use or implement AI. It is actually becoming a requirement these days. So it is a good idea to learn how to use AI and integrate it into your workflow. But also you have to be conscious of using AI. When you're AI, you have to be conscious as well. So yeah, that is my take.
Great. So Sunday, it's really about the interaction, right, between the engineer and the prompting and getting validation maybe of some of your IDs or validation of some of the code that you create. But indeed, I completely agree. There is a very strong human component in this from a input and control point of view.
Exactly.
Great. That brings us to the final question already. And the final question is as follows. How will the role of a software engineer evolve in the next 3 to 5 years, according to your experience and your IDs?
How will the role of a software engineer evolve in the next 3 to 5 years? That's a deep question. I've never really thought about this like very deeply. Well, okay. So I think with the way AI is going currently, like I've mentioned, it cannot take over um, our jobs completely as software engineers, right? But there are some jobs like the surface of programming. There are some jobs. I mean, writing code for front end development and stuff like that. Those are tasks that can be automated or that can be assigned to these AI models to regenerate, and then they can just get reviewed by actual humans to before they are being deployed. So how this is going to affect software engineering evolve, or how the role of a software engineer evolves in the next 3 to 5 years is the main jobs, right? I'm talking about the core jobs now: cloud computing, back-end engineering, and all of that. They are still going to be very much valid, right? But then the surface roles in programming might be taken over by the AI. So that is how I think it is going to be evolved.
Yeah, so it's about predictability, it's about repeatability, and also I think front end versus back end side of things, and the complexity of the tasks.
Correct.
Yeah, great. Well, that brought me to the final question. I'm doing another check in the chat channel to see if there are other questions coming in right now. I don't see other questions. Do you? Do you have any
No.
particular question to us, Sunday, right now? Anything else you want to share? Good. Well, then this is it. So this is the session for today. Thank you again, Sunday, for being with us and giving us these interesting answers and insights on the questions we had. And we're wishing you a very good day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Have a
You're
nice
more than.
day.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.